Tori, I have to say that a lot of people on our team were really excited to hear that you were on here because they love your brand, but even more so, they love your story of growth. I mean, first of all, how are you? I'm so glad you're here.
I'm doing wonderful. It is just it's a great day, great time of year. We are, just rocking out and I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Are you still working on your house or is it
I
done?
am. No, it is not done. So because of the supply chain, we've had delay after delay after delay, but we're hoping to move in the next 4 to 6 weeks. So it's okay.
Oh,
We
that'll be
booked a
great.
vacation. We're going to go and just travel for a few weeks. And then when we come back, we're hoping it's done. So
Oh, that'll be awesome. There's nothing more exciting than moving in a house. I mean, stressful,
it is.
but it's
Absolutely.
exciting.
But it's kind of just like a fresh start and you get to reorganize and clear out so much clutter. So we're excited about that. We
That
collect a
is
lot of
awesome.
clutter somehow.
So I really want to dive in because we have a lot of listeners and some of them are small business owners or some people that have an idea and they want to like run with it. Your story is really unique because, and again, I was telling you before we press live that I went through all of your blogs. And if anybody has a chance to go take a look because it is such a great accounting of what you went through to get to the point of where Pink Lily is now. And you started out as something to make extra money to pay off student loans, right?
Correct. Yes. So do you want me to just go ahead and tell you the whole story?
Yeah, please do.
Great. So my husband and I, we had about, I guess, $70,000 of student loans, 2012. And of course, we were having our first child and had just built a home, had car loans, house loan, everything else. And we were we were okay, but still not making enough to really like pay down debt. And we wanted to find another way we can supplement our income because we were just both at the set salary and nothing else. So we started selling, on eBay and Etsy. And from there, we realized we really liked selling on e-com. Like the e-commerce space, really, you could hit anyone outside of even your geographic area. It was just huge. So we, from there, started a little Facebook group and started selling clothing on it to local girls here. And it just really caught on very quickly. Everybody was coming in shopping out of my trunk at my car while I'm at work and I'm selling insurance. I'm like, hold on, I'll be out to my car in just a second. To my house to shop on the weekends, looking through racks of clothing. And we were like, this is just not working. We need to start a website. Like they have to be able to shop any time of the day, not just when it's convenient for me to meet them. So we started pinklily.com. We launched it officially January of 2014. And within the first few days, we started having orders out of California and Texas. And we're like, how are these people like, it's crazy just how people are finding out about it. So I have a marketing degree and social media really was something that I loved. So I utilized Facebook and started, doing fun giveaways and such. And it just really started growing very quickly. So my husband and I set a goal. We're like, you know what, this first year, our goal is to do $50,000 in revenue. We'll pay off some student loans with it. We'll buy inventory and we'll continue working our full-time jobs. By February, we'd already hit that. And we were like, you know what? Maybe we should consider this becoming our full-time job. So by April, I left corporate America. And then by July, my husband left corporate America. Everyone thought we were insane. They were just like, you can't leave your job with benefits and, everything else. You have a 1-year-old and you're probably gonna have another child soon. You can't just like walk away from your jobs. And we were like, you know what? We really have a gut feeling about this. It could be something more than just this little side hustle. We really believe in it. So we're going to do it. We walked away from our jobs. We signed a lease on a warehouse. And 6 months later, we were actually outgrowing that warehouse.
Oh,
and by
wow.
the finish of our first year, we had done over $4 million in sales online. Of course, we used all of the income coming in just to grow the business and to keep replenishing the inventory and such. But that was huge for us for not having any prior experience and for setting, the goal of 50,000. So we were able to hire, I think by the first year, we had 6 full-time employees. And the next year, we secured a space to build a larger warehouse. And then fast forward to here we are now in 2021. We have over 300 full-time employees. We have 2 different warehouses that we're operating out of, and just continue growing, 50 to 100% year over year, every single year. So it's been fantastic. It's been hard. It has been, none of this we had experience with at all. So it's been every single step of the way. We've been having to learn what to do and how to be a CEO and run a company, but it's been the best experience of my life.
I think the interesting thing, and I kind of want to almost rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
You were talking about how you had your degree in marketing. Mm-hmm. Now, I have a few friends that had degree in marketing, but in 2014, when social media I really feel like that was around the time that a lot of businesses were starting to see the benefits of it. They don't necessarily teach you that in marketing. Like, nope. Yeah, it's a different beast to now, where I would imagine it's probably a part of the curriculum now.
Right.
But back in those days, it wasn't. I mean, did you, because I can see how some people say, well, she had a marketing degree, but it isn't the same. It isn't the same. It's a totally different beast. What was the thing about social media that made you feel like, oh, I can navigate this?
To me, like you said, I didn't have any of that in the curriculum. When I graduated in 2009, I, had a personal selling marketing degree, but they didn't have social media marketing was not part of the course. And it wasn't a part of the course, I think, until 5 years later, 6 years later. And even now, if I go to social media marketing course at college, it's probably not going to teach me what you actually really need to know for hands-on social media marketing. And it's always evolving and changing. But for me, it was just, what can I do to use things that I've learned, even from my career, that I can use? And one of the biggest things that I learned was building relationships is the biggest thing. So by creating a small private Facebook group where I could actually answer questions and help customers and really, tell them and recommend things to them, I felt like that from the very beginning, that's how it started. And that's how Pink Lily has always been about that community. So that community has really just been a focus of mine. And so it really doesn't matter how social media changes. It's just really making sure we're taking care of our community on social media.
I think the human connection thing, as much as everybody keeps on going on and on about, oh, people are on social media, they're not making that one-on-one connection. There is real connection that can be made on social media. People just want to be seen, right?
Absolutely. And especially now during these crazy times, people are not getting together with their friends and family as much as they used to. So it's just, they really want to look to social media to get to know people who are like-minded and have the same interests, and really to build that connection. So it's been always the number one focus of mine with my brand, to ensure that we are taking care of the community and the customers that love us. And we really have a great retention rate. I think it's over 70%, which is phenomenal for, the e-commerce world. That means people who shop with us and love us and are part of that community continue to stay with us through the years, even while we've had a lot of growing pains.
Well, I mean, even beyond the interpersonal relations and really being able to give that extra service of where you're giving recommendations and whatnot. I mean, you had to have a certain eye to be able to curate the kind of collection that you have. I mean, that has the kind of appeal that you're getting that kind of growth so quickly. I mean, was there because I know I was reading about how you started with just kind of random stuff and then you started moving on, and you had a scarf that I think was, really popular. And then it kind of shifted over to something that is now Pink Lily. I mean, was there like you sat there thinking, okay, if I'm going to be putting clothing out there, here is my plan? Or it was just like, well, I like that.
Oh yeah. I never had a plan. I'm one of the most unorganized, successful people in the world. Probably. I'm not organized at all. I did not have a plan. And I was like, I like that. I like that. I like that. I'm going to buy that. And then my husband, that's where he comes in. He is great with that side of finance and organization and HR and all those. So he's like, okay, Tori, you're cut off. You spent too much this month, or, here's your budget that you can actually spend. So then I'm like, okay, maybe I should be a little more organized with this, so I'm not just blowing money on inventory. But it was just kind of and I always took myself out of it. It was like, not necessarily what would I like, what would my customer like? So I really make sure that we buy for our customer, not for myself. And I feel like that's where a lot of times people can get caught up, that they want to just build their brand based on what they want. But if they have customers already, you really should take into account what they want and continue to grow the customers with like customers from what those are and what they're asking for. For us, we always take into account the things that they're requesting and to really grow off of that versus, I mean, I might want something, but I might realize, okay, that's not our customer. I'm not going to buy that for Pink Lily. So it's really just like making sure we take that into account.
So who do you think is your customer?
Our customer, what I always say is she is just your everyday woman. She is a relatable, young 20, 30-year-old, 40-year-old. Half of them probably are moms at this point. Mm-hmm. We've even gotten into, 40s and 50s, which is wonderful. Whenever I first started out, it was more college age geared, and we have transitioned over the years. I think our largest demographic now is 25 to 34. But really 35 to 44 is not far behind it. So we've done a great job just widening that and making it really more for everyone, not just this age group or this age group, but really she's wanting to look great. She's wanting to feel great, but she's not wanting to spend that high price tag. She's not going to your runway fashion shows in New York. She's just going to her kid's ball game on a Saturday and wants to look cute. So it's really, that's who we go after. And that's who we know our core customer is, just your everyday woman who wants to look and feel their best without that high price tag.
One of the things that were a big call out for me when I went on your website is when you're going to look at the clothing, you have obviously, just like any other site, you have the little thumbnails of people wearing the outfits. Yeah. And so when you go on there and you put in you have everything from like extra small to extra, extra large, they have all these different sizes. And if you click on a larger size, the model changes and you're able to see someone in that size, which I find refreshing because you don't always find that on a lot of sites. But not only that, when you're scrolling through, sometimes that extra, extra large is the thumbnail. That's the one that's seen first. What was the decision making in that? Because I was so impressed because I feel like it's so inclusive when it comes to size. And I think that it is something a lot of companies have kind of missed the mark on.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say I do feel like we were like one of the very first to get started with that. I am seeing it a little bit more now, which is exciting. I'm glad other brands are following. But yeah, for us, it was really, again, going back to listening to that customer. And we had so many customers reach out and say, I love this, but I can't envision what it looks like on myself. I'm not a size 2. And it took a while. It took us a lot of pushback with our vendors. They typically only have a size small sample size, which is really hard for us to, then get the sample on another size. So we had to request samples in every size and a lot more work on our buying team, a lot more work on the photography side and the model side. But I was willing to make that because I wanted our customer to be able to get what they needed. And they needed to be able to see representation for their size, not just the size small. We have amazing women in all sizes that represent our brand and that showcase the clothing. And I really feel like overall that has helped us tremendously in the last few years to really speak to every customer out there and really help them. And, I know it's never going to be perfect as far as the fit goes and real representation, but it's a way better than it was 3 or 4 years ago. And it's really hopefully making a huge shift within the industry.
So when it comes to a lot of companies out there, and I do see there's more people that are starting to do this, where they're starting to show more plus size along with the extra small. I mean, would you say that the challenge is like when you're ordering and getting those sample size? Because it is interesting. Like I try to be, I don't know if you can be empathetic to a company, but I try to be empathetic that there is cost involved. There is a whole entire thing that's involved. Like what is a blueprint to maybe say another small company that wants to incorporate that in? Is it really just about, sectioning a different budget for it? Is it market research to find out what is really appealing? What would you say it is?
Yeah, I would definitely encourage them to look at the budgeting for sure. It's about
4 to 5 times on the model cost, on the, photography labor, or you're going from 1 model to 5 models or 4 models or whatever sizes that you add, as well as needing several different photographers, not just one, and also a lot more team members to organize those samples and such. So I would definitely look at your budget costs and see if it actually makes sense. If you're really small, it may not make sense in the very beginning. I think once you get to a certain level, though, it should definitely be consideration, because it really is hard for women to shop online and for them to guess if they only see one size on the model and not really know their size. So definitely budgeting, but also, market research. I mean, everyone's going to say they want to see it, though. So it's like, if they ask that, of course, everybody wants to see that, and not everyone understands the cost involved. But I think that they could also start small. They could start, like you said, with just the small model and an extra large model. It doesn't have to be the medium and the large too right off the bat. It could just be a 2 variation, so they can see, yes, it looks good on a small and it looks good on an extra large. So I'm in between. It should look good on me. So that it might not help with the fit part of it, but at least it can help them open their eyes to see, yes, it looks great on both women.
Did you find that more customers were willing to dive into certain styles that before you might have not have been selling a particular size?
Absolutely. I mean, there's certain sizes that are much harder to sell, but as soon as we started using, models of all sizes and shapes, those sizes really turn around in some of the fastest selling sizes. So I think that was a really key part, especially in the last 12 months for our growth. We're hitting a demographic that we weren't hitting before because we weren't representing that with the size that was being shown.
That is a very, very good point, and probably something everybody should listen to. So speaking of size, now speaking as a person, like, I may have spent a little bit of money on clothing not too long ago. And of course, we're all doing this online now.
Absolutely.
I find trying to find the right fit is so difficult. I almost feel like sometimes as one person's small is another person's large, and one person's, I once went on a website and I was looking at their measurements, and according to this, I was a 3X, where in most life, I'm a large, right. It was really strange. So what are the things that our listeners can be doing at home that is going to guarantee that they're going to be getting the right sizes?
Yeah.
And not get so hung up on what that number says on the website, because let me tell you, like I said, I was like 3X. Well, that's unusual.
Yeah.
I think it was coming from China, actually. And I think that's probably why.
Right. I agree. Yes, they should definitely not get hung up on the number. There are a lot of things that we are going to be doing in the near future. I can't, attest to other brands. But one thing that we really want to do, especially in 2022, is educate our customer on how to measure yourself. So we are going to be launching a campaign where we send out measuring tapes with every new customer that orders with us. They can measure themselves. They're going to get that size chart, and they can see what their bust is. They can see what their waist is. And then from there, as long as they're looking at the measurements on every listing, there are going to be the cases where we have styles that may not fit true to that measurement of the size chart, but it will say it on the listing. So it'll say, okay, this is the measurement for the waist. This is the bust. Well, then you can use that measuring tape and kind of know which size you need to go with. But we also really make a good attempt at, like, okay, we recommend sizing down from our size chart in this style. If there's an oversized jacket on there, then, it's also your preference. If you want it oversized, or if you don't want it oversized, you can size up, down or up. But one thing we're really going to try is the education piece. We do already have a YouTube video on how you can measure your body. We also do fit videos on the site, which is really explaining the fabrics. A lot of times people don't understand by looking at it that it has stretch or it doesn't have stretch. It has a zipper or elastic
point.
So that we have fit videos on the site that tells you every little detail, as well as try-ons on our Instagram stories daily to really try to explain, because people may not know looking at it what the fabric is going to feel like in person.
I often find that, like, nowadays it's a little bit easier to figure out the bust, the waist, the hips, right? But then you have to take an accounting for, believe it or not, the length from the shoulder down to wherever it's going to sit, the arm length. I think I may have unusually long arms. I don't know, because they want to be short, or even with jeans, sometimes I'll get jeans and they're short, But then, if I get the long, it's too long. So I think that that's really great. But I do think it's the material sometimes. Mm-hmm. It really does make a difference on how it winds up laying on your skin, when something has a little bit of stretch, like I like a little stretch in my jeans.
Yeah.
The ones that don't, they just don't look quite as good.
Right.
Is there something like when you're speaking to customers, because I know you guys are so great with the customer service, and you're talking to someone about the fit, when they contact you about a particular type of clothing and they're saying, oh, I'm really busty, but, I know this has button down. Is this appropriate for me? And you're able to talk to them about the cut or is it about the material? Do you have those conversations?
Yes, absolutely. Our customer service team does, speak to them on what they really do try to assist and help them through on what size to order. But one thing we're also going to be doing in the future is having a stylist team that's going to help. We're going to be working on this program that we hope that the chats, it could be a stylist that's really helping them as well, like to work with what their body is and their shape is to help find the right styles for them too. So again, that's on our radar for the future.
I mean, honestly, that is probably every woman's dream. Because it's hard sometimes. It's hard sometimes trying to figure that out. And I think particularly with women, I mean, I would imagine for men as well, there is a certain feeling when you pick something, you think it's your size, and then you're like putting it on and it's like, oh God, this is not working for my body type. I think that's really exciting that you're looking at it in that perspective. That's kudos to you guys.
It has been a lot of work over the last few years, but we want to accommodate to everybody. And we know that the shift from retail to online happened very quickly. And it's going to, continue to grow. So we just want, it's hard for anyone to shop anywhere currently. So we really know that we want to make a difference and make changes. So it's a little easier to come to our site and to shop for what you want.
So, I mean, beyond Pink Lily, is there like places that you're hoping to grow into, like fantasy wise, because I mean, we all get it kind of into what we're doing, right? I mean, we're passionate about what we're doing, but every once in a while, and I know for people such as you that are, obviously high energy and able to handle this with a family and everything else, do you have something play in the back of your mind that you sit there and think, ooh, I really want to explore this?
Yeah. I mean, I would love to one day, with my personal brand, write a book or, just be able to tell my story in a larger scale to especially help, young women and female entrepreneurs as well. And just, people who really aren't sure what they want to do, if they're in college and such. And there's always that in the back of my mind. I would love to continue to explore my personal brand and, eventually write a book and help those young female leaders in the world.
I think that the hard part is, I mean, it's so great to be able to give a blueprint, but to try and explain to women, because this is what I kept on thinking when I was reading your story, the audacity that you must have had to like, hey, we just want a little extra money to, okay, I think we're going to quit our jobs. Yeah. That's freaking scary. That's scary. It sounds like, oh, it's a no-brainer, but that's because hindsight is 2020. When you're in that moment, you have to have some audacity to sit there and go, well, I'm going to do this.
Yes, it was definitely very scary. And I try really hard to tell my story now. And a lot of people are like, oh, that sounds so easy. And I'm like, it is not. It was not easy. And the thing is, a lot of times people don't understand is, especially with my husband and I, we didn't have anyone who like gave us any money. We started all this from like $10 from scratch, it was just a startup site. It was, we 100% paid for what we could afford. And that was it. Banks would have said no. Our family we don't come from money. Nobody had anything. So for us to definitely take that leap with no, assurance like that it was going to work out, it was a lot scarier. But yeah, like you said, hindsight's 2020. We're here now and we did it. So
right. So, I mean, if you were to give a small business owner some advice when it comes to growth and everything like that, and they're in I would say a customer related thing. I mean, anything from doing retail or a restaurant or, a hairdresser, whatever it may be. What are the things that you feel is what really prompted growth that maybe might not seem like a particularly corporate thing to do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we were definitely not corporate. So we did not have like the ladder to have to climb to request stuff. So I would try out as much stuff as you can. We are always testing with social media, what works, what doesn't work, but also really, like I said, listen to your customer and what they are requesting. If you have a salon or if you have, anything that you sell and you continually have, okay, I love this, but I wish you had this, or I like this, but can you get this color? Listen to them and take that feedback. And actually, if you carry that later on and they see that, then they're going to be more willing to come back because you listened to what they requested, and then they're going to be a lifelong customer. So customers, really putting them first, and then also just making sure that you're taking care of your mind and really like focusing on the right mindset. It's easy to come in and have a bad day. You see sales numbers are down, or say we're in the middle of COVID and things are shut down, and you could really make or break your company during those times. There's business owners I know who never recovered, and they just fell into a depression and let their business go. And that's not, you have to, show up every single day and work your butt off to get to the next level. So, my husband and I came in every single day during the pandemic, and we don't have, an office to work from home. We have a company that we have to ship goods out of. So we were here working our butts off, and we work very, very hard to continue that it stays successful. And so I feel like you have to be willing to put that into to get to the next level.
So I'm going to ask one more question because, this is personally me asking. So as a woman that works really hard and has created such success in her life, how do you balance that work life when you have kids? And I think that's really, again, I think this is something I saw on one of your social media channels where you were speaking about how women, they can have all of it. It takes a balancing, but there's no reason why you can't go after your professional dreams and your professional aspirations and still have your wonderful, amazing children and family. But how do you feel like is the best way for you to balance?
I would say for the first part is I absolutely don't do it alone. I think that some people think that they have to do it alone, that they have to be, they have to come home every day and cook, and they have to clean, and they have to take care of their kids, and they have to run their business. We step back, and once we, I focused on the business, we start hiring people to help. So, we do have a house cleaner that comes a couple days a week to help me with that. I have a wonderful nanny that watches my 2-year-old during the day while I come into work, and she's fantastic. She'll stay overnight if I have to travel. My husband as well, like we both are equally involved with the kids, and we rotate, drop off the kids at school and picking them up. It's not just a me thing. So really having that support system too with your spouse, and really just making sure that you don't try to do it alone, because it is not possible to have it all if you're trying to do it all. But if you really make sure that you have help, and you're, if you are someone who doesn't have that help, there's places that you can look to get, I would not have enough time to clean my house, to cook every night, to run the business, and to do bedtime stories and everything. So I'm like, what do I want to do? I want to run the company, and I want to be the best mom I can. So that means some nights we might eat a frozen pizza, and that's okay with me. So balancing it all. Right. Yeah. And that's okay. Like I can't cook every night. And so I think really just like understanding the expectations that I have, and really making sure that I'm focusing on what's really important, and letting others help with the things that might not be, or to make sure that so caught up on trying to do it all. So I definitely think that you can be successful in, being a mom and running a company, but making sure that you're just not trying to overload yourself, and still making sure that you're really giving the time to your kids as well.
But do you find that there's a stigma in society that makes women feel like they are supposed to do it all? Because I really do find that that's out there. I feel like sometimes there's like a little bit of a, oh, well, they're not taking care of their stuff at home, but here they have this great career. But really, in all honesty, this is my philosophy when it comes to my kids. It is literally about clearing the way so I can have those connections and those moments with them where they feel supported. That is not necessarily always, cleaning their toilet, or, or making them dinner that day. Maybe I'll have Pizza Hut do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that there is a stigma, and I have dealt with it firsthand. There's amazing women on the internet, but there's also some women that are not so great. So, especially like us, we travel a lot for Pink Lily, and, a lot of times where there's a lot of supportive women. There's been times where people are like, oh, it must be nice to travel. You're just leaving your kids at home and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, you got to understand that, I am a working mom and I'm doing the best I can. They're with their dad at home. They're fine. But yes, I agree. I like to clear the way to make sure that I have every single night to read them books and to tuck them into bed and not having to do dishes downstairs, and to make sure that we have the time to go on trips and to do such things. And it just wouldn't be possible if I tried to do it all. But absolutely, there is a stigma. I just keep going and I just, I try to ignore those people and understand that I'm hoping that one day that stigma won't be there. That's really what I try to do, is to share my story and how it's different, just because I think for so long it was like, okay, the man can work and the man can travel. And there's no one saying, okay, well, he's out of town for work this week. Why is he not taking care of the kids? But as soon as the woman does that, then it's like, well, why are you leaving your kids if you have to go to work? But it's just, it's something that I try to share as much as I can, especially when there's those kind of comments, because I think we all need to open our eyes that, it's not just the woman's job to stay home with the kids. She can have a career and she can travel with that career and, be a successful business owner or, CEO or leadership role in a position and still be a very great mom.
And I want to put this in context for all of our listeners. I read up on this Tori, when you did start this company and you were working probably just as hard as you do now, sometimes if not harder, you still had your little ones. It's not like, you were this multi-million-dollar, business in the beginning, you still did have to kind of find that balance. And it's not easy to maintain, not for long term. And that sometimes you do have to let certain things go. Like sometimes the house is going to be a little bit of a mess and you're going to go to bed with the dishes in the dishwasher.
Absolutely. Yeah. For the first few years, it was, we had a 1-year-old. We had my daughter a year later. So we had two and under. And it was definitely, we had like a part-time babysitter, but other than that, it was a lot of stress. A lot of nights I was staying up to 1 or 2 in the morning. Not sustainable, absolutely. But yes, that's where it came into play. We were like, okay, what can we do to make our life easier so we can enjoy our kids and focus on our company? So yes, agreed. It's you're not going to always have this tidy house and this home cooked meal and this great company and this happy family. You have to make sacrifices. And for me, family will always be first. So.
Right. And like, I think for most women is understanding that, again, you're not expected to do all of it, even though sometimes society makes us feel that way. So, yes, right now I do have dishes in my sink. Thank you very much. And there's some laundry that I really need to get done, but I will do that when it's appropriate. And sometimes it might have to be put off. And I think that's a real thing all of us struggle with. So I appreciate you telling us your story. Thank you so much for all that you have given to our listeners, but also I think it's really great what you're doing with Pink Lily, and everybody should go and take a look, especially, oh my gosh, if they're helping out with our sizing. I think I need some help. So thank you very much, Tori.
I appreciate you having me. It was great to talk to you.
Thank you.